Hi, and welcome back to Pages and Projects with Liz. Today I am setting up my March TBR. I really enjoyed setting up a TBR for the month of February. It's something that I hadn't done before, and I wasn't sure if I would feel too restricted and unable to read other books that I was more in the mood for. I was able to get through all of the books that I had on my February TBR, as well as some additional books, and so I figured while I was enjoying setting up the TBR. I liked having an idea of what to read when I wasn't sure what to go with next, as well as making some progress with my different reading goals and challenges. I figured I'd go ahead and give it a try for March also. So I think I'll continue doing these as long as I find setting up a TBR to be helpful. As soon as it's not something that I enjoy anymore, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. So, like February, I have a stack of books, some of which are helping me out on the different reading challenges and reading goals that I have set for this year. Others are, just for fun. So, the first book I have is This Princess Kills Monsters by Rye Herman. This book will do a couple of different things for my reading goals and challenges. First of all, for the buzzword cover challenge for March, it's motion. And so this one has a dragon that's flying, as well as someone attacking different monsters. So I thought there was a couple of different instances of motion here. The other reading challenge is the buzzword reading challenge, and that was this or that. And so with the this Princess Kills Monsters, it goes ahead and it meets both of the reading challenges for the month of March. The other thing is that this was a book of the month book from last year, so this just helps me with trying to read down some of my backlist book subscription box selections. I don't really remember much about this. I know when it came up, I was really interested in it, and it was just that there were other books that I wanted to read before the end of last year, and so kind of put it on a shelf. On the cover, it says it's the misadventures of a fairy tale stepsister. And so I'm excited to go ahead and finally read this, as well as having it tick off a couple of my reading goals and challenges. Next up, I have a couple of books that are going to help me with my goal of reading 50% of my book subscription box selections for this year. The first is Graceless Heart by Isabel Ibanez. This one I got a Fairy Loot and Owl Crate version. I'm really hoping to not get so many duplicates this year. I've started watching some Instagram accounts that will go ahead and spoil some books. And so hopefully I don't run into this problem too many times this year where I have multiple copies of the same book that have come in. It was a problem I ran into a couple of times last year, and really kind of a waste of money. I don't have the space to display multiple editions of books, and especially for books that I didn't necessarily love. So there is, one series that I do have multiple editions of. I wouldn't mind doing that for some books if they were 5-star, absolutely love it. But a lot of the ones last year were just ones that were fine. So for this, I decided to keep the Fairy Loot version. I've actually already donated the Owl Crate edition to my local library. I gave them a couple of copies of special editions that I got rid of in my unhaul video, as well as other books that I decided to get rid of after that. I just didn't want to save them around to do another unhaul later. So I don't know much about this book. It says love is the most dangerous magic. The artwork on it for the end pages is really pretty and interesting. And so I'm, always hoping that I'll enjoy a book that I have spent money on, and especially one that I got 2 copies of, so I've spent money on it twice essentially. But I don't really know much about this book. So, it's 15th century Italy, and so I'm interested in reading it. I only counted this once on my tracker. So when I read it, I'm not going to check off that I read it for 2 different subscription boxes. If a book comes in different months, maybe I would go ahead and separate them out. But for right now, I counted this as one entry on my list. So the first one to try to get through, again, trying to keep on top of those books early on in the year. The next book I have is How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates by Shaylee Thompson. This is another one for reading 50% of my subscription boxes this year. So this is a book of the month book. I selected this as well as another book, so got 2 of them in 1 month. I've heard this compared to slasher meets rom-com, and it sounds like a lot of fun. I haven't watched a lot of slasher movies, but I do know the general story of them. I enjoy funny, campy movies. I love watching a good rom-com when I just want to check out and find something enjoyable. So I'm really interested in the premise of this, and I hope it lives up to that hype. Next, I have Forget Me Not by Stacey Willingham. This is a book of the month book from last year. So again, trying to read through and get caught up with the books that I selected previously. Actually, I think, yeah, it was August 2025. I have some books that go back older than that. So again, quite a few to get caught up with and make sure that I really want to stick with any of these subscriptions that I'm doing. So this is a mystery thriller. It's about someone whose sister goes missing, and then they arrest someone from it, and that sister is, going back to her childhood home. She finds an old diary and, sounds like a fairly typical mystery thriller. Again, looking forward to reading it, if only to start reading down my picks. I'm not sure how much I'll love this. The premise sounds like it could be good, but also, a lot of mystery thrillers I don't necessarily keep or stick around with because they're fine overall. So I'm interested to see what I'll end up thinking about this, and if I want to keep it or not. But at the very least, it'll just, again, help me get through some of the books that I've selected in the past and read that pile down. Next, I have The New Age of Sexism by Laura Bates. So this is my nonfiction pick. Again, trying to read fully through more nonfiction. This is how AI and emerging technologies are reinventing misogyny. So another one where it's looking at AI and some of the negative pieces to it. I talk about a couple of topics that sound like they're related to this book in my classes already. So I'm interested to go through, read through this. I'm sure I will be very frustrated at some of the things that are in here. But might be useful information to, again, bring into my classes and the things that I do for work. Next, I have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I am trying to read more classics this year, too. I have several classics that I want to reread because I think I've read portions of them in the past as part of my literature degree, or I read the whole thing, but I don't fully remember all of the pieces to it. This is one that I don't think I have read any of it. I don't remember this being in any of the anthology collections where we had to read portions. And I am interested in fully reading through more Gothic literature classics in particular. So this is a relatively short one. It was shorter than I was expecting when I got it. I've heard a lot of people talk about it and then talk about how some of the more modern books are connected to it. So I'm interested to go through, read the original classic. So hopefully I enjoy it. Again, it'll help me with my goal at least of reading some more classics this year. And the last book I have in my physical stack before we do the spinner wheel is Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. I am so excited to read this book. I really enjoyed the Emily Wilde series. It is a series that I have multiple editions of it because I really liked it. It had everything that I enjoy. It's, would love to be Emily Wilde. So the academia, fairies, all of those things were just great. And so I was really excited for this book to come out because, again, author that I loved that series. I haven't read anything else by her. And also, I love cats. So this sounded right up my alley. This is a book that I pre-ordered this edition of, and it came in, and I don't want to wait. I had a tendency last year for books that I was really excited about to put them off. I even did that with some of the Emily Wilde books for the series. I just let it sit for months because I was really worried about reading it or wanted to use it as a reward after I got through a bunch of books that maybe I didn't think that I was going to enjoy. And I want to be better about reading books sooner when I get them and not pushing them off for a later date. So excited to read this. I think this is also, from what I saw from one of the sneak peeks, going to be a book that comes in one of the subscription boxes. This is something that if I love it as much as I did the Emily Wilde books, I won't mind having a second edition of. So I didn't cancel the pre-order by the time that I saw that it was going to be coming out because I, again, wanted to get it in my hands and read it as soon as possible. I don't know why I didn't just plow through and read this in February, but I 100% want to read this in the month of March. And then the last book, I am going to do the spinner wheel to spin for a series. I did this in February. Again, it was a reading goal to catch up on more series, as well as try some options for randomly selecting a book. And I really had a fun time just letting the series selection be up to the spinner wheel. So I have updated this a little bit. If I spin a book where I don't have the next book in the series because it's not out yet, then I'll select something else. But I'm going to go ahead and see what series I'm going to be reading for this year. Okay, so the Jane Austen murder mystery. So hold on while I get that book. All right, so this was really easy to find. It was actually right on my stack right here. This section, I've got a lot of my mystery, thriller, and then horror. And on this shelf, I've got a lot of my Agatha Christie books, and decided to go ahead and put this series on there too. So I have not read any of the books in the Jane Austen murder mystery series, but I do own all three of them, so I am hoping that I like it. I generally enjoy retellings, parodies, spoofs off of things, so that's why I went and I got all of them. Um, you know, the cover design also dragged me in, but it sounded like it would be a really fun series. So, it's Pride and Prejudice gets a murder mystery makeover. And so while I have not necessarily read all of the Jane Austen books that these are based on, and I'm hoping I don't have to have gone through them yet, they are things that are on my list of classics that, again, I want to fully read or reread. I am excited to go ahead and start this series, and who knows, if I really enjoy it, maybe I will continue on with one of the other ones this month also. So here you have it, the 8 books that I am hoping to read in the month of March. Again, hoping to make progress on these so that I keep up with a bunch of my goals, and we'll see what I thought about them in my March wrap-up later. Thank you for joining me for selecting my March TBR, and I will see you later.